What is up? Today we are going to be discussing the best predictions in the MMA world. Now, of course, we are only going to be using Lucas Tracy MMA predictions because, of course, we know that those are really the standard, the gold standard. And not only are we going to be looking at Lucas Tracy MMA predictions, we're going to be looking at the worst of his as well. So we are actually going to be ranking all of my predictions. Not all of them, of course. I mean, that would take forever. We're going to be ranking all of the predictions that I've made like individual videos on where there are thumbnails for them. So it's mostly going to be main events and co-main events. Now, before we get into it, let me just explain what the best predictions tier means. That just means like this is when I was the most spot on. I predicted the exact scorecard or the exact method in the round in which a fight was going to be finished. For the A tier, those are just really solid predictions where maybe a lot of what I said in the build up to the fight was true, but maybe I was off by the exact method, or maybe my predicted scorecard was a little bit wrong. For the C tier, these are fights that I may have gotten wrong, but I also may have had good reasons for actually making the pick that I made. And for the B tier, that's kind of in the middle, of course, my worst picks of all time. That will kind of speak for itself. Speaking of my worst pick, first one on the list, Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush, in which I predicted a Beneil Dariush finish, and I thought that this was an easy fight to pick. I was even saying things like, it's not that Charles is declining, it's not that his chin is weathering away, he could never beat Beneil Dariush to begin with. Stylistically, it's an atrocious matchup. You know what? Forget the Islam Makhachev fight, and forget all the damage that Charles Oliveira has taken throughout his career. It's not so much that at one point he would have been able to take Beneil out, and now his chin is beyond the point of no return. What it is that Charles could never beat Beneil Dariush. I get it. We all want Charles to go out there. We want him to spark Beneil Dariush in the first round. We want him to run around the octagon with his little high knees, crying with that favela passion, rubbing his belly, polishing his belt. It's not going to go down like that. I've rewatched Beneil Dariush's fights from before he fought Charles, and I don't know what I was seeing in him. I mean, he's slow, he's fragile, he's moving around like an old man, and I just think I bought way too much into the idea of Charles maybe declining, even though in this prediction video, this specific one, I was saying things like, it's not that Charles is declining, he just could never beat Beneil Dariush, and Beneil Dariush is the wild man Makhachev and shit like that. When in reality, that was just my way of describing his sloppy style. Yeah, horrible prediction. I knew that Charles could get the finish. Of course, like Charles can finish anyone in the lightweight division. So it's not just the method that I got wrong. It's just I don't know why the fuck I picked Beneil. It was a horrible pick. I should have known Beneil's not beating anyone that can hold a candle to the opponents that Charles is beating. And Islam Makhachev, I mean, he's kind of built different. You know what I mean? He's kind of more sturdy and a little bit cleaner and crisper than Wildman Beneil. Yeah, so that's a horrible one. Let's get into one of my best predictions ever. I'm just going to have this one right here. Sergey Pavlovich and Curtis Blades. I predicted Sergey Pavlovich to knock Curtis Blades out and send him to the Shadow Realm in the first round. And the method being Curtis Blades shitting his pants, freezing up, second guessing on whether he should shoot a takedown or strike. So I got this one perfectly. I said that Curtis Blades kind of freezes up in front of the heavy hitters, and he's not been able to get past these guys with serious one-punch knockout power. And that Sergey Pavlovich, once he cracks him, he's going to have him on wobbly legs and he's going to finish him. So that is definitely one of my best picks ever. Of course, picking Sergey Pavlovich to get it done in the first round is not necessarily the only thing that makes it a good pick, but just the fact that, you know, we saw Curtis Blades freeze up a little bit and be super hesitant. So it's the way in which the fight played out anyway. That's definitely up there as well.
Dude, Blades is eating these shots though. Oh, another jab, dude. I'm telling you, it's that jab from Pavlovich. He's getting going. Oh, good shot. Blades is looking a little labored. He had one of those takedown stuffed, but Pavlovich is not. Oh, he dropped him again. He dropped. Ah! Let's go! Knocked him out, baby. What I say? Woo!
Let's get on to the next one. I'm going to go with Holloway and TKZ in the B tier. Now, me picking Max Holloway to beat TKZ is a no-brainer. I mean, how on earth would you go with TKZ? I think everyone would have picked Max. But context is important, all right? I was up against a tall task. I was fighting an uphill battle, at least when it came to the banana peel curse. If you guys are new to the channel, you may not know what I'm talking about, but essentially, every time I was bulletproof confident to the point to where I would say that the only way, for example, TKZ wins is if Max Holloway slips on a banana peel. Every time I bring up the banana peel, I'd get it so wrong. Perfect example being Robert Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis. I said Dricus du Plessis had absolutely no fucking chance. Dricus du Plessis is about to get lit up like the 4th of July by Robert Whittaker this weekend at UFC 290. And when I say he's about to get lit up, I could not be any more confident. You're going to need your banana peels. And not only one, if you're picking du Plessis, you're going to need to bring a whole bucket. And the Dricus du Plessis had a better chance of becoming the president of the United States than he did at beating Robert Whittaker. And I literally brought out the banana peels in that video, and we saw what happened. That's why those predictions are going to be in the C tier. I don't think they were the worst picks. I think I had reasons to pick Whittaker, but we just didn't know how built different DDP was. But I was up in front of a tall task. I even made a whole video, 2-minute short film on how Max Holloway was so locked in and guaranteed to win the fight that we needed to bring out banana peels to curse Holloway in order for TKZ to get the fluke upset. The Korean Zombie and Max Holloway is one of the most irresponsibly made matchups in recent UFC history, and it's not only a slap in the face to him, but it's a degradation to the sport and everything that he's done in his entire career. I could not be any more confident. You're going to need your banana peels, and not only one, if you're picking du Plessis, you're going to need to bring a whole bucket. So, because I was fighting the banana peel curse, and I still got it right, I'm gonna put myself up there at B tier. What am I gonna say? Oh, C tier prediction because I got it right? Obviously not. I mean, the fact that it's on the list is already a little bit too much, but, you know, we're putting it on the list. On to the next one. Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. We're gonna put that in the C tier, okay? Maybe the B tier. I kind of like this pick, even though I got it wrong, and I was so confident predicting this fight. I mean, I was having fun with it. I was even making diss tracks against the Islam Makhachev fans at the time because, again, I was riding with Charles. Islam Makhachev is going to lose to Charles Oliveira on October 22nd in Abu Dhabi in his home territory, and Charles Oliveira is going to shock the world. With Drew Dober, you're struggling with Thiago Moises. You can't struggle with Drew Dober and Thiago Moises and then just go in there and whoop Charles Oliveira, the most dangerous submission threat that MMA has ever seen. You can't just beat Bobby Green when he's 1 week removed from getting fat off of sushi and having a 3-round stand-up battle with Nasrat Haqparast and call that a legit win. Me, and I'm going to be telling you guys the one thing that the UFC doesn't want you to know. If no one's going to say it, I can. Okay, if no one's going to say it, I can. Islam, you fought a bunch of fucking cans. Islam, you fought a bunch of fucking cans. Okay? And Oliveira is the man. Okay, so he got knocked out by Adriano Martins. And he was taken down by Thiago Moises. And he was dropped by Davy Ramos. Okay. I got it wrong. We know what happened. But listen, Charles was smoking dudes on the feet. He was sending Justin Gaethje flying across the octagon. He was getting in Dustin Poirier's face and breaking him with gritty boxing and Muay Thai in the clinch. You saw Islam Makhachev's come up, and even though he was submitting guys with ease and running through them in the grappling, we didn't think he was going to do that to Charles, and he didn't do that to Charles. Of course, he subbed him, but he needed to drop him first. I think it made sense to expect Charles to be the much more impactful striker, and it still kind of shocks me at how little success Oliveira had on the feet against Makhachev. Just thinking about all the shots Charles was landing on these excellent strikers and how he couldn't do anything like that to Islam Makhachev. It still is pretty crazy. But I think I had decent reasons to pick Makhachev, but because decent reasons to pick Oliveira, but because I was so confident, I can't, what am I going to say? It's an A tier pick? I got it wrong. So maybe I'll bump it down to the C tier, to be honest. On to the next one, though. How about that Sean O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling? I think that was a kind of piss poor prediction, although, no, I actually don't. I think it was a decent prediction. Listen, O'Malley was getting taken down at will by Petr Yan, and I know that Petr Yan is a better wrestler. He may not be the better grappler. He may not be the better jiu-jitsu guy or submission guy, but I think Yan is a better wrestler than Aljamain Sterling. So there's that. But still, man, if Aljo had just gotten that takedown, it literally could have been nighty-night. We could have been kissing the O'Malley hype train goodbye. And Aljo makes a mistake. He gets outclassed on the feet. He can't really get close. It's credit to Sean O'Malley, fair enough. And now we're really finding out how good he is. But I don't think it was the worst prediction. I guess for picks like this where I get them wrong, but I think it's a decent pick, I'll just put it in the C tier. Second round KO. Ilia Topuria, second round KO. I'm going to put that in the A tier. Topuria knocking out Volkanovski. I think that was a pretty good prediction, man. Volkanovski had just been knocked the fuck out by Islam Makhachev. I also just said that Topuria is going to be good enough to at least land something flush. One of the big parts of my prediction going into this was that Ilia Topuria, he's got phenomenal hands, he's super fast, and Volkanovski, he does get hit, and he does get hit clean in every single one of his fights. Like, clean, square on the jaw, when he's off balance, in the worst position to take shots sometimes, or just rushing in and getting caught on the way in, he's going to get caught with something. And he got caught with something, and I predicted the exact round. So I'm going to put that at A tier. I think it played out very... You know what? I might even put it at my best prediction. I think it's one of the best predictions. Not only was Topuria a slight underdog, but he was also getting out-pointed early on in that fight, and Volkanovski was doing a little bit more than him. Now, I did think that we were going to see some grappling, and we didn't. So we don't really know what would have happened there. But as I said in my pick, Volk was going to slightly outpoint Ilia Topuria, and he's going to be doing well, but Topuria is going to be in there with him, and it's only a matter of time before he lands a big, gnarly combination, and that's exactly what he did. Jab from Volk, catches him flush. Oh, Volk eats a right hand, but he eats it, though. He took that shit. Oh! And he's out! He sleeps him. Fuck. And he knocks Volk out, dude. I got my pick right, second round KO. But, yeah. But to be fair, I think I'm going to drop it back down to the A, just because Topuria's legs were not affected at all by the leg kicks. And I did think that if Volkanovski was going to chew his legs up, that would definitely affect him. And it just didn't at all. So there's that. Another prediction that I think was pretty bad, but also reasonable, was Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev. The first fight, I said, this guy's going to get squashed like a bug. Volk was my favorite fighter at the time as well, but I just didn't see him winning. And I thought Makhachev was going to take him down and smother him. I was saying, this guy's gotten his back taken by Chad Mendes. Never got held down, but he got his back taken. This guy got taken down by Brian Ortega. He's going to get taken down, and what do you think is going to happen then? That rugby toughness, is that going to save Volkanovski, that rugby toughness? I don't think so. And it did. It absolutely did. Now, he still lost, and I still got my pick right. So there's that. But I didn't think he was going to do as well as he did, all right? I thought he was going to get squashed like a bug. So he did impress me quite a bit in that. But I technically got my pick correct. And I was saying things like Makhachev because he has the threat of the takedown and he's hard to hit. He will have a lot of success on the feet as well, you know. But let's get on to the next one. Oh man, they're not gonna like this one. They're not gonna like this one. I'm putting it in the A tier. I'm putting it in the B tier. All right, I'll be honest. I'll be realistic, guys. I think that Dustin Poirier getting subbed by Benoit Saint Denis was a great pick. Now, I can't put it at the A tier because I got it wrong technically, but I got it wrong because someone threw a wrench in the plan, all right? Someone threw a wrench in what was supposed to happen, which is the staff of Benoit Saint Denis. He was on antibiotics. He was severely hindered. We're not just going to sit here and pretend like that doesn't affect the fight. Dustin Poirier was getting taken down no matter what. Also, he was getting beaten up in the clinch. That was another thing that I said in my prediction. I said that Benoit at range is not going to be able to box with DP. In the clinch, where you're not at a comfortable boxing range, Benoit will be able to have success. And he did exactly that. He was beating Dustin's ass with elbows and knees in the clinch early on in that fight. The guy gassed out after 5 minutes. Like, you look at the way he stood up after the first round. Dude was destroyed by antibiotics. On to the next one. Izzy 50-45 over Strickland, okay, over Sean Strickland. I do think that this was an okay prediction, at the time, at least, because Izzy was coming off of the best win of his entire career, and Strickland was coming off of an Abu Smagomedov win, all right? That's a guy with no experience, with no cardio, who's not on the same level as Adesanya, but you're probably wondering, why the hell are you putting it in the B tier? I mean, that's still kind of high. Because I was saying it was going to be close. I was saying Izzy ain't going to dominate. Now, by the thumbnail, you're probably thinking, wait, 50-45 is dominant. Not necessarily. You could have a 50-45 that is you by a razor-thin margin every single round, just skating by. A 10-9 round can be very close, and you can have 5 very close 10-9 rounds. That's the way that I described it. So I did say Strickland was going to be competitive and Izzy wasn't going to style on him. I did say that, but I just picked the wrong guy. And I should have trusted my gut. But still, it was hard to pick Strickland going into this one because he had been put away by, like, you know, Pereira, and he had been beaten by Cannonier and these other guys. And it just goes to show Adesanya was still, in my mind, even though I wasn't rating him as highly as his fanboys, he was still overrated. So let's get on to the next one. Leon Edwards, 49-46. Colby Covington was always destined for second place. The method, okay, the way in which he was going to keep distance, his ability to even at times out-grapple Colby Covington, I think it was a great prediction. 49-46, Colby stole the 5th round. I said maybe Colby can take one of the final rounds. I said Colby was probably going to be durable enough not to get TKO'd. This was a piece of work. It was a piece of art from LucasTracyMMA, man. And I was literally talking about this fight for months. So I said earlier on in this video, when I get confident about a prediction and I really start to reel out the content about the same fight over and over and over again, I tend to get those wrong and they fall on their faces, right? But for this one, I think I made like 5 Colby Covington, Leon Edwards videos every single time saying Leon was a nightmare for him. And, well, we saw it. Now, Leon didn't toast Colby. It was a boring ass fight, but he displayed a significant skill gap, so we can't deny that. On to the next one. Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. I'm going to put that in the B tier, okay? Now, it's not just based on the method, because I did pick Dricus du Plessis by KO and he got it done by decision. It was a very close fight. It was very controversial. But the reason why I think it was a decent prediction is because a lot of what I said came to fruition. I talked about the gas tank of Dricus du Plessis in my prediction. I was saying, people say he has a mid-tier or low-level gas tank, but Dricus du Plessis has one of the most underrated gas tanks in all of MMA. If not, he has the most underrated gas tank in all of MMA. He's one of the only heavily muscled fighters to be able to throw with lots of volume and output for many rounds while also putting everything into his shots. Like, no one else has the ability to really do that, especially not fighters that we usually think of as having bad gas tanks. I also said that Strickland, who got taken down a bunch of times, was never going to get held down and was never going to get beat up on the ground or submitted. A lot of people were saying once Strickland gets taken down, he's toast, or, you know, Dricus is going to beat him up on the ground. He can maybe get the submission. And obviously Strickland's takedown defense or his ability to scramble up to his feet was excellent. And I was saying things like Strickland just doesn't do well on the back foot, and that was also shown to be true. He doesn't do well on the back foot. So yeah, I predicted DDP by KO. He got it done by decision, but a lot of what I said in my prediction leading up to that fight was pretty on point, okay? Adesanya versus Pereira 2. I think it's a B tier pick for me, all right? Like, you guys, oh my, I mean, this just looks bad. There's like a third pick in the B tier in which I actually got the prediction wrong. Again, I judge predictions differently. Like, I got this wrong, but I did say that if Izzy wins, it's going to be up against the fence, baiting Alex Pereira in the first 2 rounds because he can only finish fights in the first 2 rounds. He's never gotten to finish outside of the first 2 rounds in his entire UFC career, and Pereira was going to start to be breaking him down. Pereira was going to outstrike him when the bell is done, when the bell goes off. But either way, man, I actually think that he needs to kind of bait him into the fence, if anything. He needs to make Pereira think that he's backing him down. And I know that's a really dangerous place for Adesanya to be, but here's the thing. I believe that Adesanya's speed with that right hand is good enough to catch Pereira off guard in the first 2 rounds. And I believe that, again, he has this offbeat style of striking that only the guys at the top have. And he can use that to rock Alex Pereira. I think that Adesanya can finish Alex Pereira. I think he's capable of doing that. Not only because he's just capable of finishing anyone if he has the right moment. Again, I think that right hand is his best weapon against Alex Pereira. And of course, Pereira overextends and he chases the finish when he has Izzy crumbling and fumbling all over himself on the feet. His legs are crashing. He's starting to get weak. Pereira went for it, man, and he paid. He absolutely paid. But even though I got my official pick wrong, I got my sleeper pick right. So shout out to Izzy, man. He made me a happy guy that night. I'm joking. I was really pissed off.
Low kick hurt Israel Adesanya. Buckled him with the low kick. Pereira's not even breaking a sweat. Good hard shot to the body. Low kick again. Bro, teeing off. Oh, he hurt him. Oh! Adesanya knocked him out.
But yeah, I also think that just saying things like Alex Pereira is a better skilled striker than Adesanya is just kind of objectively true. I mean, he's had more dominant, more impressive wins than Adesanya. He's beat the guys that Adesanya's lost to, and he's outstruck Izzy in MMA. Like, even in their first fight at Madison Square Garden, he won the second round via striking. He won the third round via striking before the takedowns, before the grappling exchange. So he lost the third round, but he won it on the feet at least. So he was outstriking him. And in the fifth round, he outstruck Izzy so badly that Mark Goddard had to step in and have a nice little early... Mark Goddard got worried. And you know if Mark Goddard's getting worried, even though it was an early stoppage, there's something dominant happening. At least something dominant happening. Speaking of that, okay? Speaking of that, where is my Yuri Prohaska prediction over Alex Pereira? I'm going to put that at the C tier, man. I'm going to say this ain't the best pick. Yuri was coming off of a long layoff, and Yuri is a guy that really likes to have that like charging forward momentum, blitzing forward on the feet. He's not necessarily someone that plants in the middle of the cage and throws like Jan Blachowicz was doing and Jamal Hill will do sometimes. Yuri really likes to charge into his opponents. He was coming off of a long layoff, and Pereira was destroying his legs, and I honestly could have picked Pereira to just beat up Yuri's legs to take away some of his explosive ability when charging forward, and Yuri also had a little bit of an issue with defending his chin. But listen, Yuri was doing well, he was building into the fight, and there was an early stoppage. Gifted Alex Pereira something early for Christmas, and it's all good. I got my my pick wrong, I still count it as a good win for Alex Pereira. It was a bit of an early stoppage, but listen, Pereira won, and he shut down Yuri Prochazka on the feet. Yuri took him down and couldn't do anything with it either, which is kind of impressive. Pereira keeps showcasing good ability to survive and just nullify whatever offense people have to throw at him on the ground. So I consider this an okay prediction, but it's not a great one. On to the next one. Gane is too lazy to improve. I'm going to put that in the C tier. All right. I did pick Sergey Spivak to beat Cyril Gane. I think I had decent reasons. I mean, people are going to say, how could you pick Sergey Spivak? He only has like one way to get a takedown, which is like a trip or something. He doesn't have good double legs and single legs. And I understand that. I mean, he looked like a total oaf in that fight. Just a big behemoth. And Gane moves around like a cat. And I mean, most importantly, this ain't John Jones. So what the fuck? Why are you picking Sergey Spivak? But imagine if Sergey Spivak had just got up to the mat. It could have been an issue. So I don't think it's the worst pick ever, but it's close. It's definitely close. Robert Whittaker's going to retire Paulo Costa. Well, he didn't retire him. So I'm going to just put that in the B tier because he did win. And I was very confident Whittaker was going to beat Paulo Costa, but he didn't retire him. And it was not as dominant as I thought. Honestly, I was a little bit disappointed in Whittaker's performance. And I was also surprised by how well Costa did. And Costa just looked really good. He looked switched on. He looked hungry. But, you know, I can't really say it was a horrible pick. But I also can't say it was a great pick. Speaking of what is a great pick, Jared Cannonier beating Marvin Vettori. All right? Main event last summer. I said that Cannonier was going to win this fight because he's a much smarter fighter and he has the ability to adjust. And his fight IQ is just way better, obviously. So he made adjustments. He made adjustments in this fight. Had a hard first round, very tough first round. Marvin Vettori even rocked him. Vettori was just going to do the same thing for the rest of the fight because he can't make adjustments. And I saw that the way that Cannonier was able to beat Sean Strickland, who's a tough guy to adjust on, is by making adjustments and going to the body and shit like that. And Jared Cannonier, I don't remember the exact adjustment he made, but he made some, all right? And he whooped up Marvin Vettori so badly and put a world of damage on him. I think he landed like 200 plus significant strikes, setting some kind of a record. On to the next one. I'll put this in the A tier, although it's kind of like obvious. I mean, Islam Makhachev sleeping out Alexander Volkanovski, knocking his ass out. I think some people were going with sub, some people were going with decision. I don't remember if I predicted a first or second round KO. So I'll just put an A tier just because I got the method right. And I was very confident Islam Makhachev was going to destroy Volkanovski in that rematch. Volk was taking it on short notice, fat, off the couch. And you know what? I may as well just put Volkanovski will never be the same up there as well. Because even before Makhachev knocked out Volk in the rematch, I was saying this guy's a fool. What the hell is he doing? He's making the biggest mistake of his career. I was talking about him months before he even took that fight, and I was saying his downfall was going to be his ego and his stubbornness, like just jumping at all of these opportunities, standing up for himself. And look at what's happening now. He's gotten KO'd twice in a row. And look at what happened after he lost to Makhachev. Talking about how I want to get in there ASAP. And I mean, it's been unfolding in front of our eyes as just a nightmare situation for Volkanovski. Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo. I think this was a good pick. Picking the grappler that's not even the best wrestling threat to be an Olympic level wrestler who has a power advantage and is considered by a lot to be a technical maestro on the feet. I thought that this was a great prediction. I predicted Aljamain Sterling, I think like 49-46, and he got it done 48-47. I think one of the judges may have given him a 49-46, but either way, it was a close fight. It definitely was close, but Aljamain outstruck Henry Cejudo, and a lot of people thought that that just wasn't going to happen. And he was, at times, able to get a hold of Henry and get him to the mat, which was also impressive. So I think that this was a pretty good prediction for me. A-tier prediction. All right. On to the next one. Leon Edwards is putting him out again. The trilogy where I picked Leon Edwards to beat Kamaru Usman. Now, I did say he was going to maybe TKO him, which may have not come to fruition, but the main point that I had in my prediction was that Leon beat Usman on his worst night, when everything was in the favor of Usman. Okay? like the altitude where Usman literally trains on a regular basis. Leon was gassing out, and he was in the 5th round with the CEO VPO. He was tripping and falling over himself in the fence. It was just a nightmare situation, but there were still lots of moments in that fight where he had a lot of success. And I noticed that every single time Leon Edwards was in the middle of the octagon, he was easily outstriking Kamaru, and that Kamaru wasn't as dominant in the striking as I had remembered when I watched this fight back, or their second fight where Leon got the head kick KO. So I was saying, if he doesn't get tired and he's not at altitude and he's able to keep his back off the fence and he was able to keep it in the middle of the cage, he should dominate. And that's exactly what he did. He schooled Kamaru Usman in the trilogy and showcased a big skill gap on the feet. And the last time that we saw them fight, or at least the rematch it was at the time, he was still showing a bit of a skill gap on the feet. It's just altitude, CEO, VPO, you know what I mean? There's just a lot going against him in that one. So I thought it was a good pick. A lot of people were picking Kamaru. Another one that I think was pretty decent, or this is going to be C tier, honestly. I'm going to say Jan Blachowicz C tier. I was saying Jan Blachowicz was going to submit or finish Alex Pereira on the ground, and he couldn't do that. All right. Now, to be fair, he did take Pereira down early, and he did stink it up, and he was saying he wasn't. So I did make a good prediction as far as that's concerned. But he couldn't really do much with it. So Alex Pereira did prove me wrong in that regard. But I also said that Blachowicz can't stand with Pereira. Okay. So I did pick Blachowicz, but I said he couldn't stand with them. And even though Pereira outstruck Blachowicz, it was closer than I had expected, okay? Blockhead Blachowicz with his big ugly jab and low kicks made it work and made it close, but by no means did he dominate. John Jones getting 50-45 by Cyril Gane. I'm going to put that in the C tier, okay? Although Jones had taken 4 or 5 years off, it seemed. I think it was only like 3 at the time. But although Jones took like 3 years off to get ready for heavyweight, and I was saying this guy has no business at heavyweight. This guy's eating 6-7 meals a day for 4 years just to hope to be waking up at 245, and he'll be fat too, whereas Gane just wakes up 250 lean after fasting for a whole week. I mean, these guys are just totally different weight classes, and Gane is one of the very few heavyweights that moves around like he's a middleweight. Gane is undefeated. He actually beat Ngannou, and he actually did. I'm not even bullshitting. He beat Ngannou, and that was a robbery. Watch the 5th round, and Ngannou doesn't win that round at all. But, like, obviously Jones totally dominated him, and there was no moment where Gane was having any success. So it did kind of fall on its face. There were no glimmers of success for any of the stuff that I said during the fight. But seeing John Jones struggle with Reyes so much, seeing him get 3 years older, showing up kind of fat on fight week, and Gane being this undefeated guy, as far as I'm concerned, he's literally undefeated outside of fighting John Jones, who can match Jones's reach, and he's athletic enough to stuff the takedowns. I didn't think it was the worst pick, but damn it, dude. Gane's wrestling, man. It was a pathetic excuse in that fight. On to the next one. O'Malley needs to wrestle. I'm putting this in the A tier, okay? I'm putting this in the A tier. I said that O'Malley was going to 50-45 Chito Vera. I thought it was a good prediction, 50-45. But I'll drop it down to B because I said that in the later rounds, even though O'Malley's going to be schooling Chito, which I did say if you actually watch that video back, and again, I predicted 50-45. I said, even though he's going to be schooling Chito, he's going to start to slow down a little bit. And I think that his body, his brittle bones are going to start to slow down. And he's going to eventually want to either run away from Chito in the 5th round, like a chicken without its head, like Adesanya running away from Yoel Romero, or he's going to shoot a takedown to bide himself time and to have the clock run out. He never did that. Never did that. But we haven't seen O'Malley go 5 rounds ever. We've seen him look a little bit brittle. And that was that, okay? I think O'Malley, him winning was expected. Him having the dominant display that he did was a pleasant surprise. Like, we knew he was probably going to win. That's why I picked him 50-45. People were acting like I thought O'Malley couldn't stand with Cheeto. When I say he needed to wrestle, you would have to listen to the video to really understand what I meant by that. I said O'Malley was going to outstrike Cheeto, and Cheeto was never, ever going to be capable of outstriking O'Malley. It was just in the later rounds when O'Malley's brittle body's going to start falling down, Cheeto's going to get in his face, and O'Malley's going to panic. And that never happened. But, you know, we hadn't seen him go 5 rounds. So I'll put it in the B tier because I did say a lot of things that were correct. But even if they were correct, a lot of people were saying them too. It's not like O'Malley was some kind of an underdog or whatever. I think that's it though. I think that is all the ones that I wanted to bring up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time.